Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Instagram live session. We have a very important guest today, the actor David Ojalvo. We're going to be talking about acting and, of course, obviously his career. But we are going to talk about also English in relation to acting and vice versa in that sense. All right. What techniques, what strategies can we use, or we can use in order to improve our English, right? So just gonna wait for David.
Why not?
Okay.
Are you using your phone? What are you using? It's very weird.
That's so funny. I'm watching you on my computer.
Very strange.
I think you have to turn it off.
Yeah.
Because I can't hear it.
I guess I can't do it with the computer, huh?
No idea, man. Yeah,
Okay.
probably not. Probably not.
Okay, hold on.
Probably not. Okay, we're just gonna wait for him just for 1 minute, and then we're gonna start a conversation. So, like I was saying, we're gonna talk about acting and how acting can help us learn English or practice our English. Also, we're also obviously gonna talk about his career. He's an American actor. He's done it all. He's done it all. All right.
All right.
Hello.
Are we live? We good?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I had my computer. I guess I don't know how it works on my computer, but it's working now.
Okay, perfect, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For accepting this invitation, by the way. That's great. It's great.
How's Bogota?
It's good, man. It's good. It was a little hot during the day, but now it's kind of chilly. Yeah.
Nice. That's the way I like it.
Yes. Yeah, man. And where are you now?
I'm in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how's Dallas?
It's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of flat, hot.
Okay.
No mountains, no water.
Okay.
It's not like Bogota where you have like a community feel.
Sure.
Where people are walking on the street, you're walking to the market, you're walking everywhere. Here, you want to go anywhere, you have to have a car. So,
okay, yeah.
It's not very, it doesn't feel like a community.
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it was strange. Like when I first moved here from Bogota, we rented this house in this neighborhood. And the first night we got there, we have dogs. We walk in the dog. And it felt like a Nightmare on Elm Street. You know that movie?
Okay,
There was literally just us and nobody, not one person on the street. We were just walking, empty, completely empty. It was weird, man. That's and coming from Bogota, where everybody's on the street.
Yeah.
And you feel like community. I miss it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, because you don't have you gotta go to a mall, something like that, to have some sort of to shops.
Yeah.
And,
like
that
a
kind of thing.
Or, like a mall or something. I don't really go to malls, so it's, they don't have like a mall. I mean, they do here, but it's more popular in Colombia, like going to Estación or Avenida Chile.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What I mean is that you have vendors and people, selling things everywhere. That's the the vibe, let's say, in Bogota, right? Everywhere you see people.
Yeah, it's great.
News agencies, stuff like that. All right, man. So how about you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about, what you've done, your career.
My career? I thought we were talking about English, learning English. Well, I can talk about how we met. We met on the set of El Chapo.
That's right.
Many years ago, it's unbelievable.
I was a young boy. I was a young boy, man.
Exactly. Yeah, we met there. Actually, I never spoke Spanish with you. I don't even think you knew I spoke Spanish at the time. And
okay, yeah, no, we didn't.
My Spanish was terrible. when I met you, I could speak a little bit, but
Yeah.
not a lot.
Yeah.
And the problem is when I first moved to Colombia for acting, I needed to make a living, and so
Sure.
I was teaching English, and I became very busy. Like very popular. I had like 5 classes a day. I
Hmm.
don't know, 6 classes a day. I was working all day, and then
Yeah.
I got this part in this TV show,
Hmm.
and it was so unbelievably difficult for me to do it because I couldn't speak Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Sure.
acting is already difficult as it is in your own language.
That's
You know,
right. That's
the
right. Yeah.
pressure, you know, having 100 people around and all these trucks and everything, and everybody's there to film you, and everybody's right. I remember, so I'm doing this TV show in Buenaventura,
Okay.
and it's like my first day on the set, and it's roasting out. It's so hot. It's Buenaventura. You can't have air conditioning because you're filming, so you can't hear the sound of the air conditioner. And it's my first scene ever in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish.
That's right.
And at the time, and
Yeah.
so I'm supposed to enter at the end of the scene of this comandante and this other guy having this 2-page scene, and I come in and I say some line or whatever, and the guy couldn't get his lines.
Okay. He was Colombian.
He was Colombian from Cali, and went out drinking the night before, and he
It's,
didn't know his lines. It was crazy.
all
This guy
right.
was crazy.
All right.
And we couldn't. He could. So every time we finally got to my line.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear it was so far away. I couldn't hear my cue, and nobody was giving me a cue.
Okay.
And so when he finally got his line, I would enter at the wrong time, and they're still talking or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm sweating. It's like 100 degrees out.
I can't imagine, man. It's crazy.
It was
It's crazy.
a nightmare. And I'm like, hey, somebody's got to give me a cue to tell me I can't hear it. It was a disaster, man.
Okay.
So after that moment, I'm like, I didn't come to Colombia to teach English. I came there to be an actor. So
Of course.
I decided to give less classes and start studying Spanish more, and that's what I did.
Wow.
But the key, to be honest with you, to learning Spanish for me was acting.
Sure. Sure.
Fear, panic.
Fear. Panic. That's important for everything, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
it drives you.
yeah. If you don't have fear, I mean, you need that fear of failure.
Sure.
You know, especially knowing, like, okay, like I remember when I got the part in what ended up being a very successful show, The Queen of Flow.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
The very first, so I did this other TV show where I had, you know, a decent part, but I didn't have like scenes of like 4 pages of dialogue where I'm speaking most of the dialogue.
Sure.
I had like
Yeah.
I had like a scene of 2 pages, and maybe I had like 2 lines at the most, and then the other guy would say a line, and I had like a line, but not like a block of dialogue. And so it was good for me to do that, and I was terrible, to be honest with you.
That's a bit easier, right? I mean, when you get those cues
easier,
and then
still, I couldn't do it. I was terrible.
okay.
I was I tried as hard as I could, but I was just so fearful because I knew I'm better actor than that.
Okay. But it was because Spanish was sort of an obstacle for you in that sense, or
Spanish was an obstacle because I couldn't speak the language very well, and I couldn't pronounce and in Colombia they want you to speak. They want you to do the scene, as you know, preferably in 1 take.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
And it was just, I remember like I was on the set, and it was, you know, I'm supposed to do the scene and my heart is pounding.
Okay.
And the first AD, like a foot from my ear, is like this. She goes like this: Sonido, cámara, acción. I'm like, and I'm supposed to do this scene, intimate scene with somebody that her husband just died, and this woman's screaming in my ear, Sonido, acción. I'm like, do you really need to? Is it really necessary to? I'm right here. It's like, you know.
So did you actually say that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, sorry," but she still did it again, you know. But if I didn't have that incredibly difficult series that I did, which I was mediocre in at best, I would not have been able to do that. The next thing I did, which is a much bigger part in the Queen of Flow, because the first day of that show that I was on set is the first scene that I'm in the series, is the first episode where I meet her in the jail, and I have like 80% of the dialogue because I'm explaining to her what's going to happen, what's going on. And I get on set the first day, and it's different, like in the United States, and you know, like people introduce themselves to you, and they, oh hi, even like a small part, even, you know, everybody, there's somebody comes up to you and says, hi, welcome to the set, and nice to meet you.
Very nice.
Yeah. I got on that set. Nobody came up to me except like the person that's going to bring me to the set.
Sure.
And I got on set to do the scene, and the director doesn't come up to me. Nobody comes, I'm waiting. And then some guy comes up to me. He doesn't even tell me who he is.
Okay.
And like I said, I didn't really speak English very well. So he's talking to me really fast, and there's no time for block. There's no like, let's rehearse it and see what happens. And no, it's like, you start over here, then you go over here, then you go over here, and this happens, and this happens, and we started rolling, you know, and
they want you to pull everything out of your ass, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. But what I did, the smart thing that I did in that first scene was, I'm like, I gotta tell the audience, I have to relate to the audience that my Spanish sucks. To let them know my character Spanish sucks.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So I said, I'm like, there's a word in here that's kind of difficult. I'm gonna pretend that I don't know that word. I'm like trying to come up with the word, and I'm gonna say fucking Spanish or something like that. And I did it.
Sure.
And after the scene's over, it cut, and the director comes over and says, that's great. You know, that thing when you couldn't remember the word, it was great because you said, you know, keep that in there. And I'm like, yeah, I did it on purpose. That wasn't
okay.
That wasn't me, the actor, saying that.
Okay.
He's like, oh, okay, great. That's fantastic. Yeah, great. But how I learned Spanish, because for the longest time I was trying to learn Spanish, and I could never get out of my head of translating.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Thing. And I think the thing that really helped me was memorizing dialogue, because I had to learn it without thinking about it. You know, because you have to learn it so well, and eventually learning scene after scene after scene, the construction, the sentence construction just kind of took hold in my brain without thinking.
Okay.
Because the hardest thing in my mind was like, when you're learning English or when you're learning Spanish, it's the same thing. The pronouns are switched. The verb and the pronoun is switched.
The nouns and the adjectives also are.
Yeah, and so
switched. Yeah.
So when you're saying like I told you, it's the exact opposite in Spanish. Is le dije. You, I told.
Yeah.
Instead of I told you in English. So and using say in the passive tense, all that stuff. It's just it was the hardest part. And once I finally was just like memorizing, just that was the best. I feel if you want to learn a language, memorizing like
But you mean obviously context? Obviously, you have some context to memorize, and that makes it a little bit easier in that sense. And
You have to have context.
yeah, exactly.
Then
So
you're just memorizing. Of course, you have to know what you're memorizing.
exactly, yeah. But what I mean is because we do this thing at the school where we have a story, right? And then we tell students to come up with an intention for the story. And I feel that helps them create not only a rhythm, right, but also to memorize words and vocabulary and things like that, right? And it just comes out easier. So that's what I wanted to ask you also.
Give me an example.
In that sense.
What do you mean? Like, how do you do that? What do you say?
Like, I mean, let's say that the story is about a teacher, giving a class or whatever, right? So I tell them, don't give me a summary of the story or the plot of the story. I want an active idea that you can communicate to other people. So in that sense, I don't know, teaching is great, for example, right? Something like that. So I tell them, now read the story with that intention in mind. So when they do that, it flows better, and they're able to, afterwards, obviously, to repeat or to memorize some words and vocabulary as well. And I took that from acting, and that's how we came up with that, basically. I don't know if that's something that you use maybe to learn your lines, or what kind of work do you do to the text in order to obviously memorize lines, because that's something that people ask actors all the time. But that in relation to learning a language, perhaps when you were studying or trying to say your lines in Spanish, would you do something like that in order to help you a little with, at least, because I remember, just to tell you an anecdote, when I auditioned to get into an actor school in Australia, there was this panel of people, and my English was terrible, man. It was just awful. I couldn't speak at all. And then actually afterwards, they told me your acting was very good, and because of your intentions, we sort of got what you were saying. Right. So it just stuck me since then. That phrase that this lady told me. So yeah, it's part of my question. Like, what kind of things do you use, especially because obviously you have to act in Spanish, or you have acted in Spanish. So what kinds of things to the text, would you recommend to people to do in order to help them obviously learn a language, but maybe something from acting, something like that?
Well, in real life, you just have the intention naturally, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
So you don't think about it.
You don't have. Well, in real life, you don't think about it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. No. That's
What's
right.
my
That's right.
intention when my girlfriend, says this thing to me? What am I intending to say to her when you know exactly? Well, you don't have to think about it. But in acting, somebody's giving you their dialogue, and you have to make it real, like real life, like you're not acting, right?
Exactly. That's right. So that's right.
It's really and in Spanish, it's really difficult because, it's not really difficult. First, you have to know exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. You have to know what each line means, what each word means. Definitely. Exactly. And so you have to kind of work on the acting. You have to work on the acting not the acting first. You have to work on what it is I'm saying, who I'm saying it to. Because if you don't know what you're saying, or if you don't know who, like who you're saying it to, not just who, like, oh, my boss, but is it my boss who is an asshole to me and they're trying to get me fired? Is it the boss who wants to sleep with me? Is it the boss that I want to sleep with? Is it the boss that is secretly stealing from the company? And last week you have to get. It's not like, in acting, people don't go far enough. Like, this is the boss who's an asshole to me. Well, what does that mean? So you're gonna, the text says that I'm speaking to her and I'm angry to her. Like, what does that mean? You're angry. Like it's got to be so much more than that. Like what it exactly, and if it's not in the text, you have to make it up. You know, you have to make it up. It's like, what exactly did she do? It's kind of like, and I don't know if this helps, but I use like an as if. You ever
Yeah.
work on as if?
That's from Stanislavski, right?
I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah.
I studied mostly what's his name? Um,
But Jutta Hagen, that is boy.
no, that guy.
No, I know. I know what you mean. I think you
Yeah, I can't
mentioned
believe I
it.
forgot his.
Yeah, you mentioned his name before.
Yeah. Jeez, it'll come to me. But
Okay.
it's as if that moment when my dad said this to me when I was 7 years old, and and that moment is so specific
Mm-hmm.
in how I felt. It's kind of like that. It made me feel like like I was so ashamed of my, like, and it gives you all this emotion. You don't have to manufacture anything. It gives you a specificity of that moment. It's like when she says that to me, that makes me feel like that moment when my dad said this, and I felt like 2 inches tall. Like so you get as specific as possible, and that way it makes it that much easier to learn your lines because you know what the words,
Mm-hmm.
you know why you're saying it, you know who you're saying it to, uh, um, and you also know like what happened before to make you say those lines and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So
but it was even all having said all that, it took me so long
okay.
to memorize my lines in the beginning because there were so many words that were just hard for me to pronounce.
Okay.
Like, for
Okay.
example, a lot of Spanish is you put the tilde on the near the end. Not
Yes.
the end, but near the end. So, for example, me imagino,
Mm-hmm.
me imagino. In English, you say, I imagine, not
That's right.
not I imagine. I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
No, I imagine. So for me to say naturally in a scene,
Yeah.
in a television, whatever, me imagino que él está en el banco ahora, whatever. I couldn't say without saying something without saying me imagino,
Mm-hmm.
me imagino, like emphasizing it too much, like unnatural,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was in my mind, or perímetro,
Mm-hmm.
perímetro, perímetro. No, it's just perímetro.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, that goes like perímetro. I'm like,
Yeah.
calm down, dude.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
So
trained. Yeah.
and there was just so many phrases. Like it took me forever to learn.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the hardest week of my life, one of the hardest weeks of my life, guess when I took that show, I told them my Spanish is really bad. It takes me a long time to learn the scenes. So if you can give it to me as fast as you can, as soon as you can, to give me time. And in the
Yeah.
first 6 weeks of shooting, they did that, and
Okay.
everything was good. And then one day we were shooting in Medellin, and um, um, I got a call on set from somebody, and they said, "Hey, by the way, we just want to let you know that next Wednesday, which was in 7 days, we're gonna shoot. All the scenes are gonna be on you, and there's gonna be 25 scenes, and
My
only
God.
like 3 or 4 of those scenes, I had the scenes already. They were sending me the scenes that day,
So
and so
your heart sank, man.
what?
Your heart sank.
Oh, dude, my
Yeah.
heart almost exploded, man.
Yeah.
It
Sure.
was insane because I was working during the day, and I had to learn those lines, and it was one of the hardest weeks of my life. It was crazy.
Okay.
But so I finally got to the day that next week.
Mm-hmm.
We shot everything. I did almost every single scene in one take.
That's great.
And then we got to the final scene was like an interrogation scene where I was interrogating the guy, and I was first time in my life in Spanish, I was so relaxed that
Okay.
I started to improvise in the scene
Sure. Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
guy, and
Because
but it was one of the.
You forgot the lines, or what happened? Like, oh, like
What?
you forgot the lines, or
No,
what?
no,
Like,
no. I just was so
like naturally.
confident.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I talked about like the guy was fighting and like he beat
Yeah,
up
yeah.
this guy,
Okay.
and I was started saying, oh, you're like in Spanish, you're a tough guy, huh? You like to fight, and I was saying, and it's not,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't
And
in the
the script,
dialogue,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and so and I just started, and it just worked, and the director was like, yeah, that was great, you know, and
Okay.
but it was that week was insane. It was I weigh 175 pounds. When that week of shooting that, I weighed like 150 pounds.
Okay.
I lost that much weight from
That's
stress and
crazy.
anxiety.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Do you read out loud? Because obviously that's something that we recommend people also to do, right? Because it's
yeah,
you gotta give the opportunity to your mouth to actually chew on
yeah.
those words and
You have to. You have
yeah,
to.
that vocal awareness sort of thing.
Yeah, you have to because that's you're learning a language. You have to speak out loud.
That's right.
You can't do it in your mind. You have to do it in with your with your
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Like absolutely.
yeah, you have to, and you just speaking aloud, like reading out loud. I used to read out loud in the morning, like the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go like, what is the newspaper in El Tiempo?
El tiempo.
Yeah, I used to go like online and just read like one or two articles out loud in the morning,
Okay.
and
Okay.
practice stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah,
So would you have a reference for sound or pronunciation in that sense? Like, because obviously you're reading it, just the newspaper, it's, I mean, how do you know you pronouncing words correctly? That's the question.
well,
Or
I'm
would you have
sure.
somebody like reading for you and then something like that?
No, I'm sure there were certain words that I wasn't pronouncing well, but it wasn't
You just
important.
accepted the reality.
Yeah, I mean, most of the words I was. I mean, I don't pronounce words now correctly, but I think
Okay,
at
okay.
a certain point, it's important just to say. I knew when I wasn't saying it right. It wasn't like I was mispronouncing and didn't know. I knew there was. I'm like, oh, I got to figure out how to say that word, and I'd ask my girlfriend or something like that later. Like I would write it down and like, how do you say that word? Or what's good about Spanish is it's how it's written is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of knew how it's pronounced because it's not like English. English is a lot of times how it's written is not how it's pronounced.
Yeah, yeah, and we have tildes, like you
Yeah.
said before. It helps like to understand the stress of the word or whatever. But in English is kind of different because you can't. Yeah, same word can have depending. I mean, different meanings also, like record or record or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy about context.
Yeah.
So
So for me,
it's difficult.
yeah. So for me, like speaking aloud, I could tell when I didn't say it right. I would just look at the word and see how it's spelled, and then usually 9 times out of 10, what I would do is I would just say it over and over again, the same sentence. When I
Okay.
was reading, I would just say it and say it until I could say it smoothly.
Okay.
Like I would read
Sure.
one article and it would take me like a half hour. Not because
Okay.
because I would read work because I wasn't doing it for speed. I was doing it.
Try to make it natural in a way,
Yeah,
like sound natural.
to try to say it smooth. Like, can I say this
Mm-hmm.
this whole sentence with smoothly without
Yeah.
pausing?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd say a sentence 10 times, 15
Okay.
times.
Okay. So you were born in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you.
But Miami is not like it is now. When I was in the 80s,
Okay.
There was Cubans. There were Cubans there, but they were
Most of
mostly
Cubans, yes.
downtown in like Hialeah or something like that. They weren't where I was living.
Okay.
As many.
So
As
you
many.
didn't
Now,
have like contact with
not too
Hispanic
much.
people.
No, not too much. And I really wasn't interested in learning. I took Spanish class when I was a kid, but I
Yeah.
wasn't interested in learning Spanish.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just wanted to play.
You just
I
wanted to
wanted
what?
to
Sorry.
play, go
Oh.
outside and play sports. You know.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
I didn't like school. It was only when I started to travel, like after I graduated college, I went backpacking through Europe, and it just totally blew my mind, like other cultures and how other people lived, and how different everything was. And I just wanted to soak it all up. And that's when the first time I thought, oh man, I really want to learn another language. And so for the longest time, I wanted to learn Spanish, and I started learning Spanish on my own in Los Angeles, and then I went to Guatemala for like a month, and I started taking classes there, and you know, I would learn and then lose it, learn and then
Yeah.
lose it,
Yeah. That's
and
right.
which I think is a problem with most people learning a language, is that you learn something and then life happens, something takes you away, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you forget what
Yeah.
you learned. And to learn a language, you really have to be disciplined. You really have to want it. You really have
Yeah.
to need it.
Commit to it, right?
Commit.
And
Yeah.
yeah. It's no other way. I mean,
There's
you
no other way.
can't stop. I mean, and until you reach a point perhaps where you feel comfortable with it. Otherwise, I
Right.
mean, even, obviously when I was living in Australia, my English, I think, was better, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's a bit rocky at times because obviously I don't speak to natives as much. And so it makes it difficult, right? And sometimes we forget words and,
Yeah.
I gotta look them up and, it's kind of tough, right? To maintain that level in that
I
sense.
think yeah, it's easier once you get to a certain point,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you have to get to like a kind of like a advanced intermediate level,
definitely.
you know,
Most
and
definitely.
then
Yeah.
and a lot of it maintains. But um, the thing about it is you have to have a mindset, which I didn't,
Hmm.
which I, which is, this is where I am today. I want
Okay.
to get over there, but I can't get over there right now. So
Yeah.
I can't have anxiety. It's like, I suck. I can't, because then you're gonna
Yeah.
quit. You're gonna quit. You
Yeah.
have to accept where you are, and that if I study 6 days a week,
Hmm.
every day, an hour a day, I will get there, guaranteed.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just have
Yeah.
to embrace the process. Yeah, I was talking to this other actor. Oh, I wasn't talking to this other actor. I don't know why I said that. Some famous actor. I can't remember. Oh, it was Kevin Costner.
Oh,
He was
okay.
just starting out, and he was on the set of some movie. Yeah, and I can't remember what it was, but he was watching Gene Hackman.
Oof.
And Gene
My God, it's a great
Hackman,
actor, man.
right, one of the best ever.
Oof.
And he was like, he has so much experience, so much knowledge and wisdom, and
Present.
he's an amazing actor.
Everything,
I'm
man.
not there.
Hmm.
Kevin Costner was saying, and that's okay. I'm here. I'm doing the best I can today with what I have today. I can't be any better than I am today. I can try as hard as I can, and that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. But
Yeah.
you can't be better than you can't have the experience of Gene Hackman
Impossible.
until you get to that
Yeah.
point, and you just
Yeah.
have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even having the talent, it's not enough sometimes, right? It's
Right?
just experience, that like
Yeah,
feeling that sense of relaxation that they get from that experience also. Because yeah, it's difficult, right?
that's the
That's
biggest
tough.
part. That's the
Yeah.
biggest part is like melding relaxation with experience and talent all together, and then and hard work, and you put that all together one day. You get there one day, hopefully,
Yeah.
with chances you get by working. And but you can't be there on on day one, or in year 5 or year
Hmm.
10. It just
Hmm.
takes a long time. And same
Yeah.
thing with learning. Yeah, I'm not a master of English. That's my native language. You know, it's like,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
that's the mentality I had learning Spanish. It's like, oh, I can't wait until I speak Spanish like a native.
Like native,
I'm never
yes.
gonna speak Spanish like a native.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous to think that. Like I have too high of expectations. It's like saying, I can't wait. I'm gonna be like Brando. It's like, what are you talking about? Not
Why
gonna
not,
happen.
man? Why not?
It's not gonna happen.
Is
I'm gonna be myself, whatever that is, however that must be.
yeah,
Will
yeah,
be. Like I'm
yeah,
gonna speak as good of Spanish as I can with the work I put in and with time and discipline.
yeah. You spot on. Definitely, I completely agree with you. Let me ask you a question about Latin people trying to break into the industry in the United States. And totally, if you can, obviously, if you've met any or talked to any, and it's Spanish, or is there a language barrier in that sense, um, of
Say
them trying to break into the industry? And
for Spanish people,
yeah, 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 like Latins in general.
is there a language barrier?
Yeah, like trying to break into the industry there in the United States.
No, there's not a language barrier. There's a barrier to entry as far as like
For anybody.
yeah, with anybody.
That goes for anybody.
Like
Okay.
like I have a friend who's very successful. He's from Spain, and when I first met him 20 years ago, we were just starting out as actors.
Where do you
And
meet the guy? Like
I met him through
how did you meet? How did
just
you
by
meet?
chance.
Okay.
Through my when I moved to LA, I had a roommate, and he was friends with this guy,
Oh, okay.
and we
Okay.
became quick friends.
Sure.
And he was kind of successful in Spain as an actor,
Okay.
even
Okay.
even then. But when he moved to LA, his English was very good.
All right.
Because he did an exchange program when he was in high school in like Wisconsin or something like that.
Okay.
And so his English, there was no problem with his English. The problem is that he couldn't get an audition.
Okay.
Which,
Okay.
like most actors in LA, you can't even. It's not about competing. It's about just getting in the door to compete.
He didn't have good agent. Like
He had a good agent in Spain, and he had his agent was actually Penelope Cruz's agent.
Okay. Oh, really?
Time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when
Okay.
he was like red hot at the time.
Sure.
But even with that, he couldn't even get in the door to an audition. So he was there for like 3-4 years, nothing. He couldn't get any. I mean,
Sure.
every so often he would get like an audition or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he went back to Spain, and he worked there, like a working actor, and then he became successful through a TV show he did, and now he's in working in LA, and he did a movie, like a big movie with Netflix, and
Not long ago. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So that's what everybody wants, I guess, right?
But even when he got that, it didn't give him what he thought it would give him.
In what sense?
Like happiness, fulfillment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting actually, because I mean that's what we all want. I mean, as actors, right? Like to have that moment of success.
But the problem is, it's not just with actors; it's with everybody in life. They
I guess.
They think that money is going to make them happy, and it will, I'm sure, to a certain extent. But you still are who you are, and you still are whatever problems you have today, you're going to have them tomorrow, whether you are a millionaire or not. Internal problems of like, you think like being famous is going to make you happy. It doesn't. It doesn't make you happy.
Okay.
You have to be right in your mind. You have to be, you have to work on yourself.
Yeah, I understand. It's not only about money. I completely understand.
Or
So
success, or fame, or it can make it worse, because you think your whole life like you're trying to get this dream, and then you get there and it doesn't give you what you want. Well, now what? There's no other place like before.
exactly. Yeah.
Before you're like, yeah, I'm not happy right now, but once I get there, I'm gonna be fucking amazing. It's gonna be incredible. And then you get there, and it's not, and there's no other place to try to climb to.
Hmm.
So what do you?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you start drinking and you start taking drugs, maybe, or
Something like that. Yeah,
something
sure.
like.
Like,
I mean, I don't know.
so it's about finding meaning in a way, instead of just,
Yeah, and not from outside yourself. You know, not from. You got to find meaning in your self-esteem.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
John, not from not from strangers,
Uh-huh.
you know, but
Yeah,
from, you know, like who you are as a man,
that's
how
right.
you carry, what choices you make, how you treat other people, what sacrifices you make, that you make not because people are watching, is because you wanted. That's who you are, you know, and that's your character. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Was it difficult for him? Or I don't know if you've spoken lately with him, but
I have.
uh, I guess that movie was in English, right? And you're
Yeah.
saying obviously his English was very good
Yeah.
because of that exchange. But did he tell you anything about acting in English
I got
or?
a good thing, but I do have a good story about that because when I first moved to Colombia, I got this cheesy romantic comedy called The Cup of Love, I think, or something
I
like that.
auditioned for that actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I auditioned
Oh,
for the main guy, for that
for the
guy.
main
Yeah,
guy? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that guy who did that part, I forgot his name. He's a nice guy. Um,
Sebastian, I think something like I can't remember. Nicolas, something,
Nicolas something.
something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a nice guy. Um, the problem he had that I noticed is that he was trying to speak. His English was very good, but he was so focused on saying it like perfectly, like almost like a native speaker.
Okay.
And the part wasn't for a native speaker.
No, it
This
wasn't.
part was for a Colombian guy that spoke English.
Yeah,
And part of the charm, I think, of like Antonio Banderas when he's speaking, especially when he was younger, is
yeah,
how he
yeah.
spoke with a strong Spanish
That's
accent. It
right.
was very
Yeah,
charming.
yeah.
You could understand what he was saying, but it was charming. The way he wasn't trying to enunciate perfectly in English, and I think that was the problem that not only him, but many of the actors, Colombian actors in that movie, they were they weren't focused on the acting. They were focused more on the English. Because I remember the first read through
Hmm.
of that, like they couldn't, the part I played, they couldn't find the part. They couldn't find the character, the actor for that part, and I never auditioned for it until
Okay.
like I auditioned for it on a Wednesday. They were shooting on that
Okay.
Monday, and they still hadn't cast the part. And I had just got to like Colombia recently, and I just got this agent, and I was sick. I had like a flu, I remember, and they said, "Oh, we have this audition for you," and I didn't really want to do it,
Hmm.
and I read it, and I'm like, I just saw the character. I knew. I did. I got the part. So I had to learn my lines really quickly, and I remember getting to Medellin, where they shot it in Medellin, and like 2 days later, I was there, and I didn't know my lines, and so we went through the run through, the read through, and I went to the director. I'm like, yeah, I really need to practice. He's like, no, you're doing great. I need to work with these people here, with the Colombian actors on the acting thing. He was so concerned about that. And if you look at the movie, I haven't looked at it in years, but you get
So
the the focus
l- l-
on the English
language was
is
a
hurting.
problem in that
Yeah,
sense.
it was
Yeah,
hurting the acting part of it.
got on the way of the acting.
Yeah, like if you just, it's not about saying it perfectly. It's about knowing what you're saying, like you were saying before.
Yeah, the
What
intention.
your
Yeah,
intention is,
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
to who you're saying it to, why you're saying it, and
Exactly, exactly.
really getting specific about that.
Yeah,
And I don't think
yeah.
that was maybe done so well.
Because sometimes it's not gonna be perfect. That's what I tell people as well. They try to make it perfect. That, like you said before, it's not gonna happen. You gotta. It's better to have that intention, right?
It's not about perfection. It's
to
not. It's
drive you
about
through it.
communicating.
Yeah, yeah,
You just
yeah,
learn to communicate.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
definitely.
then you know, just step by step. You want to. You don't need to say it perfectly.
Okay, okay.
Right?
Did
It's
you?
like you get in your own way by like even in acting. It's like, oh, I want to be so good.
Mhm.
I want to be
Yeah,
fantastic. I want to
yeah,
be
yeah,
great. And then you fuck yourself because you want to be so good. So you're putting so much pressure on yourself. You can't
yeah,
relax.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. It's happened to me. I
Yeah.
got lines and everything. It's crazy
Yeah.
how that works, man. It just you fuck yourself, like you're saying. Like it's just a complete mess of
Yeah.
everything. I mean, it's just
The great
yeah.
actors, they're not worried about it. The thing is, it's like we think we can't screw up. We can't make a mistake.
You know what I think? I think in Colombia they're so focused about the lines.
Yeah.
Sometimes, they just get the lines and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And because my education was also in Australia and New York and all these places.
Meisner
The
technique is
Meissner technique.
right,
Okay,
right.
okay,
But go ahead.
but okay, that's the technique that you
Yeah,
use,
yeah. But anyway,
right?
go
Okay,
ahead.
but that when I was studying, obviously, I would concentrate on what you're saying, right? The
Yeah.
circumstances. Obviously, you would sort of answer these questions that are very important. So to know exactly what you're saying, like Stella Adler, like the life what is it? The life behind the words,
Yeah.
something like that. Something that
Yeah. Behavior.
she would say all the time. Yeah, exactly.
Behavior.
The
An ounce of
behavior,
behavior
exactly.
is worth a pound of
That
words, or
is
something like that.
right. That's correct. And then when I got here, it was everything. It was all about lines. Just learn your lines. You got to learn your lines and learn
Even
lines and lines.
in like the auditions, like in Colombia, the auditions, you have to have it memorized.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't have the
Yeah.
paper in your hand.
You can't
In
read.
The United States, if you don't have the paper in your hands, they look at you like you're strange.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
They look
That's
at
it.
you like, what you memorized? What's? It's not. Why do you memorize all the lines? It's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
what? Like that doesn't make any sense. It's not about the
Yeah.
lines. It's about the
Okay.
character. It's about the behavior. It's not about the lines.
That's actually a very very big
Yeah.
difference, man. What you're saying there, definitely. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So it was kind of tough for me in that sense. Even my rhythm was out of, how do you say, out of whack? Can I say that? Is
Yeah.
that when something is
Yeah.
damaged?
Off. Yeah.
Yeah, it was off exactly. And because I auditioned for this guy, I can't remember his name. Like he's very sort of big here also, but he said it's good, but your accent is weird. And I was like, what? And obviously, yeah, because obviously English, uh, the rhythm in English is completely different. So, it's like you're saying, the tildes and all the stuff, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
different. It was different. But from my perspective, from my experience, I was just saying it, normally I'm Colombian. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it was kind of weird, a weird comment, but he
But
said that to me.
but were you what were you? Was the character speaking English or Spanish?
No, I was speaking Spanish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was strange. That's very strange. So I said, yeah, I don't get that, man. But anyway, that's what he said. He actually said, no, you would be better for this part, and then he made me audition for the other part, and I got it, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of weird, man. Have you watched that TV show Griselda? Because the many Latins in that show now has been nominated for some for a Grammy. Is it for a? I can't remember the
Emmy?
names of this. For an Emmy, is it?
Has it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think
I
so.
only watched
Uh,
the first episode,
what
and that's
do you
it.
think about it?
Uh, yeah, it was. I don't know.
No, I was just saying because so many Latins like speaking English at times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some kind of renowned actors also, like Latin actors that they, I think they're Americans, but Latin backgrounds and
But the accent wasn't. The Colombian accent wasn't right a lot of times, right?
Yeah, because they, I think he's a great actor. Actually, I like his acting. I think he's a Cuban actor. Now he's obviously like a star.
Okay.
He was trying, yeah, because obviously they make actors speak Paisa, right?
Yeah, of
And
course.
so he was trying. You know who did it? Not perfectly, but it was great. There's a movie. It was a Spanish actor, great actor. I can't remember his name, but he played a character. He was a politician. I can't remember exactly the story, but and for a Spanish actor, because his Spanish accent is very thick, you
Uh-huh.
know, so he was actually able to speak like a paisa in that
Oh yeah.
movie. It was quite impressive, yes. And yeah, no, not many people are able to pull it off. Sure, man. And so yeah, that Cuban is a good actor. I like
Yeah.
what we were saying, that relaxation and but at the same time, yeah, his accent was weird and everybody was talking like it was different accents here and there. It was kind of,
I think
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, they were like, you know what? I think there's probably going to be a lot of people in Colombia that are going to be like, that's not
yeah,
Paisa, that's not. But you know what? 95% of the people that are going to watch it aren't going to know.
exactly. They're not
So
gonna even know about, yeah,
who
like what's
cares?
going on.
Yeah.
But from your
And I don't think,
perspective, it was because
yeah.
that,
And I,
yeah.
I was watching it with Laura, and she was like, that guy isn't Colombian. That guy isn't Colombian. He's like, like, uh,
She's
yeah, yeah.
of
Like, what is this
course.
guy? This guy's supposed to be from no. Uh,
Okay,
he knows a lot better.
okay,
Bogota. But yeah, I don't think it. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was good. I only watched the first episode.
okay.
Laura, she watched the whole thing. She liked it more
Yeah,
than
it's
I.
not it's not a bad show. I mean, it's not bad at all. It's just yeah, what you said. It just takes you out from that reality in that sense, right? Um,
Yeah,
yes.
the problem. I didn't have a problem with the accident because I didn't really care. But it was the I knew about the story of Griselda, and
Okay.
it kind of bothered me that it wasn't really a lot of it wasn't really accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I didn't really care for the story. The
Okay.
how
It
they
was
how they
it was
yeah, it
it was
wasn't really
about the story. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
it was kind of it wasn't accurate.
Okay. Okay. So you're planning to come to Colombia?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there soon.
Uh,
Within a month.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I'm coming
And
back.
how's that Spanish coming along?
Well, necesito practicar mi español porque estoy muy oxidado. Ah, entonces empecé a estudiar un poco.
Sí.
Ya, un poco. Y yo tengo un amigo en Colombia que estamos haciendo un intercambio,
Okay.
inglés y español.
Sí.
Entonces, ah, ah,
¿Qué estás haciendo para practicar? Pues hablar con el amigo, ¿qué más?
solo eso.
Solo...
No. De verdad, how do you say, how do you say download? Oh, yo tengo una app de W Radio.
Ah, sí. Pues
Empecé,
pues bajar una aplicación.
empecé a escuchar a Jose, what's his name? What's the guy's name? Cristal.
José Cristal.
The guy, the famous guy on W Radio en la mañana.
Ah, ok,
What's his
sí,
name?
pues no me acuerdo de eso, no me acuerdo del nombre.
Tiene voz muy
Sí.
yeah,
Sí.
Colombia, el magio de la región de Medellín es muy importante en la historia de Colombia. Y Simón Bolívar. He talks like that.
Sí,
That guy.
sí.
He talks.
Sí.
I think he's the voice of like Cine Colombia or something like that.
Ok,
You know?
sí, no me acuerdo del nombre. No me acuerdo del nombre.
Él es calvo.
Sí, Julio Sánchez Cristo,
Yeah,
¿no?
yeah, yeah.
No, Sí, es así. Sí,
Yeah, that guy.
sí,
So, me
sí.
gusta escucharlo en la mañana. Empecé a hacerlo hace solo una semana.
Ok,
Para escuchar
sí, te
y,
entiendo.
y saber lo que está pasando en Colombia.
En Colombia, no quieres llegar a
Y con Petro y
con Petro, sí,
el
ese es un tema, un
gobierno.
tema.
Un poco loco, ¿no?
¿Qué pasó con Trump en los Estados Unidos? ¿Qué dice la gente allá about that? Como de lo que pasó con su
Está muy
oreja.
loco, ¿no? Increíble, ¿no?
¿Mm?
Hay mucha gente que le gusta a Trump mucho más ahora.
Sí, claro.
Que él va a ganar, porque desde lo que pasó el sábado pasado,
Se volvió más popular.
mucho más popular, porque después de el tiro,
Ajá.
cuando, how you say, when he put up his fist, how do you say that?
Que sí, como subió, pero es que no, en español es diferente, o sea, no hay una manera,
Su
es como que
su puño,
subió su puño,
su
sí,
puño en
en
el
señal como de
ah,
victoria, como
la
de
gente es, él
fuerza.
es muy machismo, muy, how you say brave,
Brave es como valiente, valiente. Ujú.
valiente, ya, muy valiente.
Sí.
Pero para mí es, es, muy peligroso lo que está pasando en Estados Unidos. Es muy
O
polémico.
sea, ¿tú crees que hay algo más detrás de todo esto?
Es, es
Puede ser.
muy violento el político acá.
Ok,
Eh,
ok.
hay solo dos lados, Democrats, Republicans.
Sí,
Eh, para mí, soy independiente.
ok. Y no quieres estar mezclado ahí como en eso.
No, sí, me gusta, pero me gusta tener mis propios uh,
Pensamientos, ideas.
me gusta esta idea de los
Sí,
democráticos y me gusta esta idea de los republicanos,
ok.
pero no, I'm not an ideologue. I don't just
Sí,
follow,
ok.
seguir
Sí.
un lado al otro lado.
Algo que realmente aporte, mejor dicho.
Oh,
Que aporte
okay,
a las personas. Que
sí.
les dé algo, ¿ok? Ok, David. Creo que ya podemos cerrar ahí.
Okay,
Te,
well, good.
te
So it's going
agradezco
well.
mucho.
So, what's the biggest before we? Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Sure, go ahead.
So, what's the biggest difficulty that you find like new students that they're difficult to overcome when they first start learning a language?
Well, I think false expectations, I think that's a great problem because now, you have many people telling them that they can learn English in 2 months, in 3 months,
Yeah,
and that's impossible. I mean, you can probably, get to a level in which you can say a couple of things, which is good, right? But I think that's damaging, right? That's pretty bad in that sense. And commitment, yeah, they don't commit to it, so obviously they're not gonna get the results. They want something quickly. I mean, they ask me all the time, how long is it gonna take me? And our classes are personalized, right? One on one. So, I tell them it depends. I mean, it's up to you. It depends. There's so many things that you got to consider about, learning about you. And, there's so many things that you need to understand in that sense to be able to learn a language and to commit to those strategies and methodologies and etc. Right? So, yeah, commitment I think is a big one, and those false
yeah,
expectations. That's yeah, it's a problem. Now, when they start studying, they realize, okay, this is a good method or whatever. but definitely it's gonna take me some time to learn, right, and to get to that level that I want. And so many, I mean, there's so many offers as well out there, and I think that confuses people. And teachers sometimes are not best, and or they haven't, have the experience of actually, because obviously I always put myself as an example. It's not perfect. My English is not perfect. I tell them all the time, but it is possible to, be able to become a proficient speaker, let's say, right? You just
Yeah,
gotta.
it's really difficult. I had this friend in Cali, Colombia. This this girl, she owns this hostel that I used to
Okay.
stay at in when I first lived in Cali for a little while.
All right.
Yeah,
Hot, right?
really hot. Yeah,
It is hot, man.
this woman, she owns this hostel called La Casa Cafe,
Okay.
and this woman really nice, but after she couldn't speak English at all. Like after years and years of trying to learn English, she could barely speak a word. I had to, I had to speak through an interpreter with her because she couldn't speak a word of English, and she tried and tried and so much, and she just couldn't do it. I really felt bad for her. Pobrecita.
But what did she say was the problem? I mean, she had studied so many, well, with people and places and well.
No, it's una broma. I think she's listening now. Yeah, she has a hostel. This account she has a hostel. She has two hostels. She has one in Cali, Colombia,
Okay.
and one in La Barra, in outside of Buenaventura.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really nice, really cool place. Like if you want to go for like a really Pacific experience, that place, it's like amazing. But she's the first person when I first moved to, not when I first moved, when I first came to Colombia in 2009.
Sure.
I stayed in Cali for 2 months learning salsa.
Okay.
And
what's harder, salsa or Spanish, man?
Spanish is harder. I learned salsa like a professional.
Okay. Okay.
De gringo salsero. Mi nombre.
Conocido, eres conocido como el gringo.
Obviamente. That's right. Gringo salsero.
Gringo salsero.
No, I was terrible. I was terrible.
Okay.
But you know something? It's another example just about learning English. The most important thing, I think, talking to wrap it up, is acquiring skill, meaning in life. You're talking about meaning, right? Doing things that are meaningful. Anything you acquire in life that's easy, you don't respect. It doesn't.
Exactly. That's another point. Yeah. It's a great point. It's a great point.
And it happens in, like, when you have somebody that grows up in a family that's a billionaire, you hear a lot of times, like, they die of a drug overdose or have problems or whatever. Or if you become an actor and your dad's an famous actor and you just make it easy, you don't respect it because it came so easy. And it's the same thing with anything. It's like when I first went to Cali to learn salsa dancing, I was terrible. It was embarrassing. Paula can tell you, we used to go to this place called Tintindeo.
Witness. She witnessed.
I used to dance. She was kind enough to dance with me, but I used to go up to girls in Tintindeo, this place Tintindeo, and I go up to them, ask them to dance, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, this gringo's asking me to dance." So we get up, and within 5 seconds, they're like, "Holy shit, this guy has 3 left feet," and they're dancing, and I can see they're just, "Oh God, I can't wait till the song is over."
Yeah.
And I could have easily quit because I was like humiliated,
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's thinking about you the next day. Hey, you remember that gringo that couldn't dance?
Yeah.
And they started laughing. Nobody cares. And then a month after I started dancing in Cali, a month to the day, I met this girl through a friend, this girl from Cali, and I liked her, and I said, "Hey, you want to go dancing with me?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And I went back to the hostel, and there was these two other girls from Canada that were going to dance, and I said, "Why don't you come with us? We're going to this place." And we went to this place. We got there like at 10 o'clock at night, and I started dancing with the one girl, and just something just clicked, and I could just do it pretty well. And I just was dancing with these girls nonstop, and they were like, how are you so good at dancing? And it just happened after a month.
Okay.
And and I was like, note to self, it's like, it doesn't matter how bad you are, it matters where you end up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you think like all these, Al Pacino was a great actor when he first started acting?
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably not. It took him a long time, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like every dancer, or you learn a language, you're suck.
Exactly.
And it's okay to suck. It's okay to suck.
And it's important to suck, otherwise
because
there's no room for you to grow.
One of the most important things, the meaning in life, that makes life meaningful, is acquiring skills. Like when you talk to somebody, and then all of a sudden you could speak Spanish or you could speak English. Say, "Oh, you speak English? How do you speak it?" "Oh, yeah, I studied English in the United States. I went there for a year, and I did," or whatever it is. "Oh, you know how to? You're a carpenter. You know how to work with wood?" It's like, yeah, it was interesting to me, and so I studied carpentry for a year, making very little money, but it was important to me to learn that skill, because I wanted to be a man that worked with wood. So I did that, and or to cook. I love to cook.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good cook, because it's a skill that I wanted to learn. It's important. My dad was a good cook, and I think it gives meaning to, if you're not good at something, if there's nothing that really you're passionate about. If you quit at something, you can't quit. You got to keep on going. You got, it's like, because then if you quit, then you're just right back where you were before.
That is correct. Yes. And have some fun, right?
That's what it's about. Like you can't, like, that's the problem I said before. Like I didn't have fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to the day where somebody said, Dave, you speak Spanish so well. I'm like, yeah, I know. I went to Colombia, and I blah 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 blah. It's like, you're a schmuck. It's like, you're doing it because you want other people. It's like, why don't you do it for yourself? Do it for yourself, and do it for the process. Like, enjoy learning and not saying it perfectly, and embrace it. It's the same thing in acting. If you're so worried, you're not gonna be relaxed. It's the same principle. It's like, what's perfect? What's perfect?
Yeah. You know what? I remember a story. I'm just gonna tell it to you just quickly, and it was when I was studying acting. Also, we had this gathering, this small party, like small gathering at somebody's house, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about Daniel Day-Lewis, because I just like the guy. I think he's a great actor, and we were talking about him, and I started imitating some of his movies. In The Butcher, in Gangs of New York, he used to talk language nicely, right? Like sort of spectacle on female acts and something like that, right? Like, obviously, I don't have it now, but anyway. And then there's another movie, There Will Be Blood. He speaks more like, "This is my son, and this is my..."
Oh yeah.
Right? Exactly. And I used to, and I used to, because I watched his movies, and I used to repeat lines using his, his
accent.
How do you like accent in a way, right? His
delivery.
Yeah, his accent. Let's call it
his delivery.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a way, in a way. That's right. And
Cadence.
so, say again.
Cadence.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I was talking to him, and I was imitating the guy, and then another classmate, she came up to me and said, when you speak like that, I don't sort of perceive or notice your accent. And I thought, well, there you go. There you go. So I started doing that a lot. And actually, there is a technique that people use to learn languages, which is shadowing, which is you hear somebody that's native, or somebody from a movie or whatever, and then you repeat the lines, sort of emulating what the sound and the nuances of sound and all this stuff, and that helps people to get that better. Let's say to understand sounds, I guess. Yeah, to get the sounds.
Yeah, because that's really important, especially. It's just so with Spanish and English. It's just that the sounds are so different, and that's what took me so long to learn. Like just like again, like learning lines, like saying the lines. Because the last thing you want to do is be thinking about. Even though I did like when I first started like acting in Spanish, I would have like a dialogue, and I knew this word coming up. It's like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna be able to say that word. There's like a 50% chance I'm gonna fuck up that word.
Yeah, you're putting out all your energy.
I'm thinking like, yeah,
and that word, and that's bad, man. It happened to me, like when I came back. I was also learning lines in Spanish. It was difficult, actually. It was difficult for me to learn the lines in Spanish, and like we were saying before, because they put so much energy and focus on these lines. It's just I was feeling like a terrible actor.
Yeah.
It was just bad. I mean, you can act like that, definitely.
Were you nervous a lot on set when you did El Chapo?
Sometimes. I mean, like you said before, I would ask for my the scripts or the sides, what they call them, right?
Yeah.
With some time, definitely, or in advance is what you said, right? Or I think so, right? And so that I had time to study, right? Because I wanted to study and to actually not to be thinking about lines. So I would learn everything as I would read this every day, and because I had a big sort of, it was a monologue. It was like me giving some. It was no instructions. What do you call that? Like I remember that scene where I was telling you and the other guys, we gotta be careful with these people here, and here, and
the beginning of season 3.
Yeah, but no, but what do you call that? It's not instructions. It's like, it's not an outline. I can't remember how you say that. Like a
plan,
like a rundown of
like what's going on.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
An update of like what's going on with.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was crazy, man, because it's so long, and then when the day came to shoot that scene, I remember the director saying to me, "Look, change this, say this in Spanish and this in English and blah blah blah." And I was like, "What the fuck, man?" It was crazy, because obviously you like the rhythm. I mean, you create a rhythm, and it sort of helps to memorize your lines, and so that just threw me off. It just
well, that's the
crazy.
thing. You can't. That's the thing.
That's another point. Yes.
Yeah, you can't create a rhythm.
Exactly, man. Yeah. You don't. I didn't leave any room for. To improvise.
Yeah, I try to learn my lines like a machine.
What do you mean?
Like with no intonation. I try to say them as fast as I can.
Okay.
Like I learn my lines like. You told me to go to the store. I went to the store, and when I got there, I took the thing. And then when I came back, I said this. And now you told me to tell this, and now you're wrong. It's not right. So I don't learn to say it a certain way.
Okay.
I want to get the line so well that I could say them as fast as possible, so I don't have to think. I could say it like a machine gun without thinking.
Okay.
So on the day of the
You,
shooting,
you can play
I could
around.
just
Yeah, sure.
look at you and just react off of what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
like we're doing right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I
That's what
understand.
acting is. We're trying to
Yeah.
all we're trying to do is recreate what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're looking at
Yeah.
me like this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. If you look at me like that, I'm going to see that in your eyes,
Yeah.
and it's going to affect what I'm going to say next.
Your behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, what
sure.
I'm going to say, and if you say your lines a certain way, or learn how to say them a certain way, then then you're not acting. I mean, a lot
No,
of
you
actors.
have something prepared. Yes.
Of course, you have to have something
I
prepared.
felt like that many times actually,
It's
because
like
yeah, I mean that.
an audition is completely different than acting because an audition, you're usually you're not acting off of an actor. You're
An actor,
a friend is
yeah.
reading the lines, so you have
Exactly.
to produce self-produce
Mm-hmm.
what's not there.
Yeah, like create
You have
that
to create what
imaginary world.
yeah, a reaction that's not there.
Exactly.
You have to react to somebody who's not giving you that in return. So, but
So difficult, right? So
yeah.
tough. Like when that happens.
It's really and it's great when you're working with someone who's like I remember doing a scene with Christian Tapan.
Yeah.
Tapan?
Yeah. Great actor. Yeah.
And it was great because he was so relaxed and he'd been working for years. He's worked all the time. And it was great working with him because he was like
what did you do with him? Like what did you shoot with that?
I had some episodes in The Queen of the South.
Okay.
And I didn't know who he was when I worked with him.
Sure.
I found out after I looked him up afterwards because he was so relaxed and such a nice guy. Like we were talking up until they said action. Like they had to stop us from talking. Like we were like talking about something about food in Mexico because he had this dried fruit or something like chilies or something by the side of the desk, and he gave me one. And we were talking, and they were like, "Guys, come on, let's go. We have to shoot." And I'm like, "Okay."
Were you talking in Spanish or English?
Good question. I don't remember.
I don't think. There you go.
His English was very good because he was saying to me that he had this TV show that he was thinking about doing, but he was nervous about it because he had to speak English and
I think he did it. I think so. Yeah, it was a TV show, a series, something like that.
Yeah. He did do it. I forgot what it was.
I can't remember. But yes. All right.
Anyway.
Okay, man. Well, thank you so much, actually, for doing this today, man. And let me know when you get here.
Well,
by the way,
we have to talk about what we talked about before about the writing that thing.
Definitely. Yes, we're gonna do that for sure. Well, thanks, man. And I'm gonna stay here for like 5 more minutes, talk to them about something in relation to English, and then that's it.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'll see you later.
Take care. Bye-bye. Ok. Bueno, ahí estuvimos con David Ojalvo. Hablamos mucho de actuación y hablamos de, estrategias técnicas que se han usado y que sirven de la actuación para aprender inglés. Entonces, este video también va a quedar subido acá, va a quedar subido en YouTube para el que lo quiera ver en YouTube. También tenemos obviamente material ahí, tenemos otro tipo de videos ahí para que también los vean. Yo sé que es tarde, pero bueno, gracias a todos por estar con nosotros. Ojalá les haya gustado todo lo que hablamos y las experiencias también que se han tenido, pues solamente en diferentes lenguajes, con el español, con el inglés, actuando, haciendo muchas cosas. Y esas enseñanzas también que nos dejó David, creo que son muy importantes, ¿no? Si algo es fácil, no tiene sentido. eh, Generalmente, cuando algo realmente es un reto, ¿no? Algo de esa manera es que nos sentimos motivados como para seguir. Entonces, seguir esos consejos. Si están pensando en estudiar inglés o lo que sea que estén pensando, digamos, hacer en la vida, hay que, hay que tener ese compromiso y realmente pues irse a ello, ¿no? Estudiar lo más que se pueda, practicar y disfrutar el proceso, ¿ok? Bueno, les agradezco mucho nuevamente. Cualquier pregunta siempre la pueden dejar ahí en el video, en la cajita, y pues obviamente nosotros estaremos felices de responderlo, ¿ok? Les agradezco muchísimo y nos vemos en una próxima oportunidad.